Certified financial planner professionals are certified to provide comprehensive financial planning that can address just about any facet of one's financial life, including retirement, estate planning, taxes, education, and more. For more info, go to letsmakeaplan.org to find a CFP professional for you.
Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guest on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, Bruce Bowen, is here for more. Love It or Shove It is on the way. So is Stephen A. and Grant Hill and Doris Burke and more. But we just had a priceless moment, a delightful moment. I would love the two. And I had nothing to do with it. I was just sitting here. Would you, go ahead and share?
If you get a close-up of Brucey's shirt, I just happened to notice it, and for those listening on radio, I'll explain. When he has a
it's called hide your buttons. True connoisseurs.
I mean, it's a dress shirt with a bow tie, but the dress shirt you don't see the buttons.
Not a dress shirt with a bow. It's not. They don't come together. You got to put it together.
It's a dress shirt. And you have a bow tie on.
Okay, that's.
You know what? You really aggravate me from the highlights we just did to now. You know. Okay.
So the point of the story is he's got the bow tie on.
The shirt I just noticed doesn't have buttons. Or you don't see the buttons.
Only been here 6 years.
Okay, so it's the first time I actually looked at your chest. Sorry. So I didn't see any buttons, so I asked, I thought a very simple, easy question, is it Velcroed?
Say it with your chest.
That's all I was asking. Is that Velcro or are there buttons under there?
There's buttons there. I'm professional.
They're just hidden like that.
Would it be wrong if that was Velcro?
No, but it really does
would
make
be
the
wrong.
Look. If you're going to wear the bow tie, you have to do that. Because the buttons, I think it looks
elegance.
Can I just say this, though? Can I just say this?
Go ahead.
If that was Velcro, wouldn't it be a hell of a lot easier to take on and off? And wouldn't it look the exact same?
No. It would probably bunch and get caught to other.
Can I ask one other question? I don't know the answer. Is that a clip-on bow tie?
No, it's not a clip-on.
Okay.
True connoisseurs.
I just want to aggravate you.
True connoisseurs don't wear clip-on, sir.
I'm moving on.
Or T-shirts on TV. Oh! Now y'all going to make me get up.
Look at Brucey. Look at him go.
That's the Penguin back in the day. Uh-oh. What? 70s? 70s in the house. What?
He was doing the robot.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Bruce is
nice.
Flashlight.
On fire.
The NBA is on ESPN Radio Sunday. Carmelo and the Knicks. Isaiah Thomas and the Celtics. Presented by GNC. Coverage begins noon Eastern on most of these ESPN radio stations. And the Knicks were the topic. We just played you a moment ago. Scottie Pippen yesterday on The Jump with Rachel and with Tracy McGrady sitting right next to him. They asked him about the struggles of the Knicks, who have been eliminated from the playoffs for the fourth consecutive year, by the way. And he laid it at the feet of his former coach, Phil Jackson. They later asked him, do you believe that Phil needs to go? And he said yes. So, Brucey, you sort of went after Scotty a little bit with that perspective. First of all, I will just say this, that, you played for Pat Riley. You played for Greg Popovich. I know you have a very close relationship with Pop. Mike, you had a very close relationship with many of the coaches that you played for. To the best of my knowledge, Scotty and Phil still have a good relationship. I guess you're laughing. So you're saying I'm wrong?
No, I'm not. I'm just, if you have a great relationship with a coach and you truly respect that coach, you don't blame him.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that I thought it was, to me, it becomes all the more interesting that Scottie Pippen, of all people, was willing to say that.
So let me say this then. This is the same person that didn't go in the game because Coach Jackson drew up a play for Tony Kukoc instead of Scottie Pippen.
Yes,
so
correct.
Even back then, where's the respect?
That was 1994.
No, but it's still the respect factor. If you truly respect your boss and you understand that you are to submit yourself to those who have authority over you in that situation, you're the player. It's not about what you think in this moment. It's about you doing your job so that we can win. And they ended up winning the game. But how does Scottie look?
Yeah, Kukoc made, for those who don't know, that actually happened. There was 1.8 seconds left in a game against the Knicks. Game 3 of a playoff series they needed. They were down 2-0. Because the play wasn't drawn for Scotty, he refused to go in the game. Bill Cartwright about lost his mind.
As well,
Kukoc throws in a long shot.
Yeah.
They win. They wound up forcing a 7-game series that year. Then Jordan came back 2 years later, and they won 3 more championships. Yeah. So, to my knowledge, I mean, I get it. It was a terrible thing to do. But it was 23 years ago, and a lot of things have happened since.
But it also shows you the true character of individuals. Because way back then, think about, I know it's a long time for you, but think about that girlfriend that didn't appreciate you.
There was no. I never had any other
prior
kind.
To your wife. No, I mean, but this is what happens when you reflect. you reflect and you say, there were signs there all along. So this is what I'm saying. Even though it was 20 years ago or 20-plus years ago, it was signs there about what type of individual Scottie Pippen was even then.
At the end of the day, I don't care if it's a great player that says he's blaming a great coach or a great president. What have I been saying for 18 years on the show? The same thing Bruce said. It is the players on the court that hold the keys.
See,
they are the ones, the higher percentage. I will always say, when we always say you're blaming the players, you're blaming the coach, I am always putting a higher percentage on the players. You are the ones on the court, on the field, on the ice, on the pitch, whatever it is that can get the job done. So most of that responsibility is on the player.
And if the player does his job, because the coaches have assembled a team based on the skill sets of the players. So if you follow the instructions of what the coaches have envisioned, then 9 times out of 10, you'll have the success. But it's when players decide that they want to do other things that is not consistent with what the coaches want, that's where we have the dilemma.
That being said, Phil Jackson has not done a bang-up job with the Knicks. I mean, there's no getting around that.
No, it's but you know what? I go to the player.
Oh, well, no, me too.
I go to the fact that you have, Derrick Rose has not had that season of there's been turmoil there when he decides whatever situation it was where he missed the game. See, these are things that I look at when I look at players, and we talk about accountability, and you want to talk about how you want to be the best player in the game, but you do things like that. That says more to me about the individual
I agree.
than anything else.
To me, it's about when you bring in guys, what Rose or Joakim Noah was going to do on the court, and so it's on them. But also some of it's on Phil for bringing those guys in. And when you brought them in, you're crossing your fingers, hoping you're going to catch lightning in a bottle. So that's the part that could be on Phil. But the majority, to me, is always on the player.
But you have players that always say this, all I want is an opportunity.
Yep.
Well, in New York, a city that loves the Knicks, if you get on the floor for a loose ball, they are going to love you. I mean, Charlie Ward got in that big old mix-up between Zoe and Patrick Ewing, and people love Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward was a quarterback, tougher than a lot of guys today, a lot of inside players. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now, but I just thought I'd say it.
He was a football player.
Yeah.
Look,
listen, he's a quarterback. He was a quarterback.
I know.
With toughness.
He won the Heisman. I respect both of you. But you're out of your mind. I mean, Phil Jackson is overwhelmingly to blame for what's happened with the Knicks. He put together, you can be great players, but if you put a bunch of round pegs in a bunch of square holes and then try and force them into a triangle, you're going to have a disaster on your hands. He brought in Derrick Rose, who was the last person in the world who should play in a triangle. He gave $72 million to Joakim Noah, who everyone knew could barely walk anymore and is now suspended for 20 games. And now he's decided after 3 years that he's getting rid of everything, and now they're going to only run the triangle, and we'll see what happens going forward, because all he's trying to do is force Carmelo Anthony out of town. I mean, you could put Red Auerbach as the coach of this team, and they wouldn't have won substantially more than they've won.
It's more of a situation when you get guys that are not capable of conforming. In the beginning, they say they are. They say they want to. And then once the ball goes up in the air, now it's pickup basketball. There is no resemblance of an offense or anything like that. But I think when you have structure, I've sat near Phil during the course of games, and I can hear him talking about what needs to take place. This is what's going on today. Again, it goes back to, the practice, the players that you have, and I think the IQ of a lot of players, a lot of those guys, it's not the easiest of systems, but you got to have somebody that can get you buckets, and that's what Carmelo is. But he has to buy in as well.
All right, Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guest on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, Bruce Bowen, is here, and we're having so much fun that it's going to continue right now. Now, this is really a thrill for us, okay?
Yeah,
because
really is.
It was the Luke May story. The kid at North Carolina, for those of you who haven't followed it.
Fantastic.
He was a kid who started out, who was going to be a walk-on at North Carolina. They did it ultimately to give him a scholarship, but he's a guy who averaged, 5 points a game?
5 points a game in 29 regular season games.
Winds up scoring 16 in the Sweet 16 and then 17 in the Elite 8 win over Kentucky, including a game-winning shot in the final second. At 8 o'clock the following morning, he was at a lecture.
Yeah.
He goes to one of his classes at North Carolina, and this morning, he has made his way here to Bristol in advance of the Final Four to do Love It or Shove It for us. And so Luke May is now in our studio. And for those of you watching with us on television, Love It or Shove It, you will see Luke May sitting in our studio ready to go. Good morning, Luke May.
What's up, guys? Luke David May here from Cary, North Carolina. How are you?
Very well. Of course, it's actually Bubba, but
that's not Luke May.
Everyone
Luke
in
May.
the world pointed out that they are like separated at birth.
They do look alike. Yeah.
Stunningly
You
alike.
have any kind of a jumper like Luke May, Bubba.
I am Luke May, and yes, I do.
The actual Luke May is how tall?
Is right here.
But
I am 6'8", 235.
Why'd you read it?
Just want to double check what the media guide says.
6'8".
He's
235. He is here to do Love It or Shove It, and then he's going to immediately jump on a plane and get out to Glendale because tomorrow night he's got to play against Oregon.
Yes, he does.
But he stopped here to do a bunch of highlights, and we're going to love them or shove them. So, Luke May, welcome. And what is your first topic?
All right. The Raiders will win a Super Bowl before leaving Oakland.
Boy,
Love it or shove it?
I'm not going to lie. That is a great first question because I don't think it doesn't sound like that third year Oakland's going to be there.
They don't want him.
They don't want him, so they have two individual option years. So the team will be playing in Oakland for the next 2 years. 2019, we don't know. So you got basically 2 years. Do we think they can win a title in 2 years? The competition certainly being New England and Pittsburgh, probably right off the top of my head. That is a great question.
What's the answer, man? Goodness.
I'm going to shove it. I'm going to say that.
All that to shove it. All you got.
Yeah.
I shoved it.
show, Brucey.
I shoved it when you started talking.
We got a 4-hour show. We got to fill time here.
That's not what we filling time with.
Oh,
We
Bruce,
got other questions here.
Do you know that in 3 years, 2 years from now, but in this third year, it is a likely scenario the Raiders will be playing in your hometown of San Antonio? They've got the 2 years in Oakland. Oakland doesn't want any part of the third year. Vegas won't be ready until the fourth. I've been reading stories that say they're going to play in San Antonio.
It's fake news.
It's fake news. I'm going to say, by the way, I love it. I think the Raiders are the team to beat going into the
I like
coming
your colors.
season.
Team to beat?
I like the colors.
Over New England.
Yes.
I think.
I think if they had been healthy this year, they would have. They lost their quarterback right down the stretch. I think that they get one little step better, add a little bit to that defense.
Yeah, they need a little more help on the
defense.
defense.
Tom Brady is 40 years old. I will say, love it. I think in the next 2 years.
I said shove it. When you started talking, I had shove it in my head.
I didn't know if you were shoving me or shoving the question.
That would take a lot more effort.
I'm going love it.
Yeah, you wouldn't shove me. You just undercut me.
All right.
Oh, boom, boom.
Luke Bubba May, what's next?
LeBron James will miss the NBA Finals for the first time in 7 seasons. Love it or shove it?
Go ahead, Brucey. I'll give you the first crack.
Okay, I'm not going to talk a lot like Golic did on this and then didn't give an answer until I said shove it.
Will you give the answer already?
Love it.
Okay.
There it is.
You love it? He's going to miss the finals?
No. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Shove it.
Way to understand.
Oh, Bruce.
That's right.
It's a simple game, Bruce.
Thank you.
Love it or shove it.
Luke with the attitude over there.
Seriously.
My apologies, game winner.
You know, yeah, exactly. You make a game-winning shot against Kentucky, all of a sudden you got a lot of attitude over there.
I'm more proud about showing up to class the next morning.
Yeah.
Business 101. All right, so you're saying you shove it. He will not miss the finals.
No, he will not miss the finals.
Golic.
I shove it as well.
So do I.
Yeah.
They will definitely be back in the finals. We're loving it or shoving it. Brought to you by Grainger. No matter the job, Grainger's got your back. Grainger for the ones who get it done. Luke May, next.
The Final Four is more thrilling than the college football playoff. Love it or shove it?
I shove that. I love them both. I love the NCAA tournament overall, especially those first 4 days, which, again, the ratings in the first 4 days are up 34%
You can't just
from last year.
You can't just shove everything.
But I'm going to shove that. I certainly can if that question,
see what kind of
I can
student
shove it.
you were.
I'm going to shove it, even though I do love the Final Four, but I'll go with my sport of football.
I love the Final Four as well. I think it is more thrilling than college.
So you
football
love
playoff.
this?
I love this.
Okay.
You know, the fact that you have a player like Mr. May being able to have his one shining moment. We always ended the Final Four with that theme music, and for that young man to continue to persevere throughout the season and have his one shining moment and be ready, Greeny, I love it.
I'm going to say
Stop stuttering.
And I'm trying to decide. So the question is, which do I like better, the college, the
basically
football, or the basketball?
That's what Luke is asking.
I think then I'm going to shove it then, because, I mean, I'm not going to say that it's more thrilling than the college football playoff. That's going to vary year to year because the games themselves are going to determine it. Like this year, the 2 college football games stunk. A couple of years ago, they were phenomenal.
Right.
The college basketball games, some years they're great and some years they're not. So by definition, is this more thrilling than the football? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I shove it. Bubba, Luke May, next.
Myles Garrett running at Texas A&M's Pro Day after his ridiculous performance at the Combine. Love it or shove it?
Let me quickly tell the story, and then I'll let you answer it. For those don't know, they had their pro day. Myles Garrett, the presumptive number 1 pick, who ran a freakishly fast 40.
Great combine at the he had a great workout at the combine.
Was not obligated to run the 40 again, but did so. And he says it's because he's much faster than he's shown. He says his fastest time ever is a 4.47, which at his size would be so ridiculous.
Did you see him? This dude is ripped and is a D lineman now. Again, an edge rusher, so you're a little lighter, but unreal. And he did run a faster time at his pro day, slightly faster than combine. I think he's nuts for running. There's no way I would have done a thing at the pro day after that combine, but I love the fact that he thought he could do better, and he did better. I love that.
I love it as well, because this is what we're losing today. We're losing the process of guys going out and trying to be better than what they were before. We have a situation now where if somebody has a good moment, they settle for that.
Right.
And they're trying to hide so much Gesundheit there, Greeny. But at the same time, I love this as well.
You know, because the downside of what you see is the kid from Washington, the defensive back, I think the cornerback, he was working out his pro day, and he tore his Achilles. So, I mean, that's what some players see and say, well, wait a minute, if I work out of the combine, I'm not going to risk something at the pro day. But I give it to this kid. What a good-looking athlete he is, too. Man, he is going to go number 1 to the Browns.
I'm just so overwhelmed by his appearance. If I was built like Myles Garrett, I would not own clothing. I mean, I would just eschew clothing at all times.
He ran the 40 with no shirt on. I would love to be able to.
Davion Clowney is looking at him and saying, boy, I wish I was built like that.
Well, I
don't think so.
Come on.
Sure about that,
but anyway, I love that he ran, so I love it. There's nothing not to love about it.
This next one will be easy.
All right, Bubba, love it or shove it.
Speaking of workout warriors, just get these guns out.
Oh, my God.
Tiger Woods will play in the Masters next week. Love it or shove it?
Shove it. I'm going to say I would love it.
Oh, we'd love to love it, but we're shoving. There's no way. I mean,
the
there's no
reason
way.
this came up is because his name is on the schedule for media availability next Tuesday. So they have all the players slotted. Now, as a past champion, Tiger Woods is automatically one of the players who is eligible to play and will be for the rest of his life. That's one of the unique things about the Masters. So I have to assume that's why they slotted him a media time. And I guess also he hasn't officially informed them he's not playing. So if the question is phrased to be, do I expect him to play, then no, shove it, unfortunately. But, boy, I would love to see Tiger play. Brucey loves golf. Come on. Would you love to see Tiger out there?
You know what? I'm getting ready. I believe in Santa. I believe in the Easter Bunny. I love this. Right, Tiger is going to play.
Let's love it.
He's going to play.
I'd love to see
and
it.
he is going to do very, very
poorly.
Well, no, come on.
Even. He's going to shoot even par.
If he goes out there and shoots
that's why
even par.
I'm not going to get too crazy. Like, he's going to win it. No, he hasn't played since I was in high school.
We all hope he plays, but we all know it's a real long shot.
Listen, if he can finish 2 rounds at this point, it would be a win.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see it, but of course,
tissue massage.
I think it's probably almost impossible to predict that it will happen. All right, last one, Luke, Bubba, May, go.
The Rangers gave Rougned Odor 2 horses in addition to the $49.5 million contract. Love it or shove it?
Absolutely, positively love it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, when you can swing the hammer of leverage and you can ask for whatever you want and people can say no. Let me ask you a question. Did he get the 2 horses?
He did.
He did. I love it.
Well, I don't love this because
Why?
now I got to
You hate
use
horses?
I got to use some of my money to take care of them horses. Give me my money. That's what I want. I'm shoving it. I'm shoving because now he probably need more space now. So he had to buy more acreage. He already probably has about 30, 40 acres. Now he needs 10 more acres.
I got it. He is a cowboy. We got this story from Deadspin.
Thought he was
yesterday.
a ranger.
He's a ranger. Very good. Well done. But he calls himself. I read this yesterday. I want to find he's as a 6-year, $49.5 million deal. He owns 4 horses. Was once described by his uncle as a Venezuelan cowboy, and he loves it. So there are a lot of different perks that different players have in their deals.
Oh, yeah.
He grew up with horses. He
Good for
loves
him.
horses. He got a horse.
For him.
Do you remember when Roger Federer won Wimbledon the first time and he came home to his native Switzerland and they honored him by giving him a cow?
Yes,
I
do.
A cow.
Didn't who was it? Who was the pitcher? Bumgarner gave his wife a cow for a wedding present.
Yeah, he did. I think it was a steer.
A steer or something as a wedding present. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Well, there you
know. Well, other countries, you get a goat.
I love to. Can you imagine that? Like in my marriage, you know my wife. Honey, I love you so much. Here's my gift to you.
It would have been the shortest,
steer.
one of the shortest marriages known to mankind on that one.
We're going to keep him right out there outside our apartment.
Hey,
thanks, Luke.
Property taxes down. Oh, no, that's in Texas.
That is Luke Bubba May. That's a job well done, and he really does look like Luke May.
Luke May.
Well done,
Follow me on Twitter at Luke_May.
Very well done.
Oh, my God.
He's plugging his Twitter feed.
Brucey, I want to ask you one quick question here, a serious question about the Final Four playing in a football stadium. How difficult is it for a shooter? I know they're there ready.
It truly is a depth perception.
How much more difficult is that?
I think it is difficult, but it's once you get going, it doesn't affect you that much because now you're dialed in, you're focused on what's at hand. And that was the same situation. Whenever I was with a different team and we would play the Spurs when they were in Alamo Dome, right. I didn't like playing there. But as a member of the Spurs, I was fine with it. So it's more about that muscle between your ears that keeps playing those tricks.
I don't like that they're at football stadiums. I'll be honest with you. I don't like that the basketball games are there.
It's awful.
First time skydiving? Sure is. Okay, you just open the door like this and you jump. Oh, wait. Should we be like in tandem? Tandem? That's a great idea. Are you a certified instructor? No, but I love parachutes and I love people. Here we go.
You wouldn't take chances with an uncertified skydiving instructor. Don't do it with your finances. Find a certified financial planner professional today at letsmakeaplan.org. CFP. Work with the highest standard.
We are Mike and Mike. Bruce Bowen is here. No buttons on his shirt. Not Velcro either. And Stephen A. Smith is ready to go. Stephen A., of course, first take 90 minutes from now, live 10 Eastern on ESPN. But Stephen A. was listening to our conversation earlier about a variety of different topics. He wants to chime in, and we are delighted to have him. Good morning, Stephen A. Smith.
Good morning, guys. How are you all doing? Mike, it is wonderful to see you. Bruce Bowen, my buddy, I'm pretty ticked at you this morning. You know, what really annoys me about you, Bruce Bowen, what really annoys me about you is this. The question was about Phil Jackson and whether or not Scottie Pippen was right. This is no character question about Scottie Pippen. It has nothing to do with the situation. It doesn't matter what Scottie Pippen did about not going into a game which was egregious 20 years. It doesn't matter. It does not matter because the question is, was he right in what he said? It's a yes or no question. It's not about, oh, well, Scottie Pippen did this and Scottie Pippen did that. Was he right? And are you trying to tell me, are you going to sit there with a straight face and tell me that man is not right, that Phil Jackson needs to be going to New York City? Is that what you're going to say?
I'm going to say that, Stephen A. Just as I'm going to tell you, did you do your sit-ups this morning? Because we have this understanding. I know I have been calling you every day to make sure you're doing your sit-ups. I heard you telling people that you've lost weight. I'm glad about that. But I don't think you've been doing your sit-ups because if you had, you wouldn't have time to come up with all these types of situations that you come up with on TV.
Actually, you know better than that because I work tirelessly. That's number one. Number two,
that sounds like an excuse coming.
I was doing 150 sit-ups this morning while I was listening to you and your gibberish. And number three, I'm not the one you need to be talking about with sit-ups. You need to be talking to the dude to your right. I love you.
And I'll say this, Stephen A., and your support. I think what Bruce did there was completely avoid the question. You asked him a question, and he managed brilliantly, I might add, to segue into your sit-ups, which, of course, have even less to do with Phil Jackson than what Scottie Pippen didn't do 23 years ago.
I'll say it. Phil needs to be gone. Bruce, does Phil need to be gone?
No, he doesn't need to be gone. Needs to be the players need to be held accountable. It's not the teacher's fault that you didn't learn whatever you were supposed to learn. Excuse me, Stephen A. Excuse me.
Players are not good enough. The players are not good enough, which you know. And number two, and more importantly, you've got Phil Jackson, like Greeny pointed out a little while ago. Phil Jackson, what GM or president sits up there and tells you this is the system that I want you to run, no matter what your talent says you can do? Who does that?
Other GMs that do not have 12 championship rings may do that, but he has the rings. He has the know-how. He knows what needs to take place. It's just unfortunate.
He also has 3 years of a track record that shows it doesn't work. He also has 3 years, not 3 months, 3 years. 3 years. How much time do you want to give him? What, you James Dolan now? You want to give him 5 years for what he's doing? Which is it, Bruce?
Here's the thing. Your analogy about if the students don't learn, it's not the fault of the teacher, it's the students. But if the students are sixth graders and you put them in calculus,
right? Well, it's not
then
calculus.
It's not their fault they can't do it.
It's not calculus. We're talking about players that are capable. Porzingis is having a good year. Would you agree with me on that? But he's a kid. He hasn't been corrupted by the other shenanigans that take place within this league, within the whole me type of deal. He comes from a place where it is about team basketball. It is about maximizing your effort. And Courtney Lee, he's had a decent year for the Knicks. The go-to guys haven't been able to do what is necessary, and that's where I say that's the accountability aspect of the whole situation. Derrick Rose has to be held accountable. Carmelo has to be held accountable. It's not about Carmelo leaving. It's not about,
Hold the guy. Greeny Golic, watch this, because I got
here he
lying
goes.
to y'all on national. He's lying to y'all on national TV in the morning. Bruce Bowen, work for me for a second here. You're tight with Popovich, right? Because obviously you play for Pat Riley, you play for Popovich, you play for Larry Brown. I mean, obviously you've had coaching is very, very important. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who was Phil's first coach? Who was Phil Jackson's first coach in New York? I think that was Fisher. Derek Fisher never even coached AAU.
And you know what?
And then after that, it was Kurt Rambis, who was 100 games under 500 in Minnesota. Okay, and then after that, who was it? It was Jeff Hornacek. I mean, I'm sorry, he's no game changer. He's decent, but he's no game changer. By the way, you even had dudes who won championships with Phil doing the triangle, telling him it ain't gonna work with this roster. The man wouldn't even listen to that.
Well, sometimes things don't work out as in Derek Fisher's situation. Now that's on him. He chose Derek. Derek had a wonderful opportunity to create something special. Now, if Derek was able to do something quite like Jason Kidd, then he'd still be around. But that's the roll of the dice. He gave someone an opportunity that didn't work out. But with the other individual, it's more about, again, paying attention to detail, doing what you need to do, and not worrying if you agree with it. Do your job, Stephen A. Do your job.
Mike and Stephen A. and Bruce Bowen is here. Let me get to something that actually matters. And we have a really good question on Twitter right now, the Mike and Mike Twitter page. It's a good question, and Stephen A., I want you to answer it. As the Cleveland Cavaliers wrap up a really tough month, they were 6-10 in the month of March. They have struggled terribly, particularly on the defensive end. We have a trivia question up on our page. Well, it's not a trivia question, but it's a poll
question. Yeah.
And we're asking you to answer it. If you had to bet an amount of money, Steve, that mattered to you on one of the following two, would you bet that A, the Cavaliers will win the championship this year, or B, they won't even make the finals? Which of those two is the likelier outcome?
Oh, that's easy for me. I would bet that they would win the championship before they'd get knocked out.
So you're not worried?
I'd give them a better chance. I'm only worried about them in the finals. I have no concerns whatsoever about LeBron James going to the NBA Finals. Not against this Eastern Conference. As impressive as Boston and Washington have been this year, and Toronto on the come-up, particularly with Kyle Lowry coming back, I am not concerned about LeBron James in an Eastern Conference playoff series at this point in his career. I think this is all fodder. I think that they're setting the stage up because LeBron James likes to control the narrative. Disaster has struck. It's time for the panic button to be hit. Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, when it counts most, you see a resurrection from the Cleveland Cavaliers. They buckle down, they hunker down, they sit up there and they get on lockdown, they get the defensive tenacity going, and, of course, LeBron James puts on a show. I'm not concerned at all with them in the Eastern Conference. I'm worried about them in the finals against the Golden State. I am not concerned about them at all getting to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I would agree. That was the option that I chose as well. I can't say I'm not concerned about them at all, but I think it is infinitely likelier that we get to June and we're all remembering. Remember back in March when we were worried about the Cavaliers and their defense and when they have run rampant?
This is what he does.
Yeah.
This is what he stole storylines. It's just like Michael Jordan and people get distracted and finding storylines to agitate them, and all of a sudden they go berserk. It's the same old stuff. LeBron has been a drama queen for quite some time. I don't say that in an incendiary fashion. I'm just credit where credit is due. The dude has been a drama queen. Go ahead, talk about it's over. Talk about he's done. He's not going to get anything done. He's going to lose. And then all of a sudden, April and May rolls around, and you see a different beast at a different level. As the saying goes, there are levels to this. And LeBron James knows that. He will respond when it's time, and so will Kyrie. Don't you worry about it. It's no big deal.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Again, the name Bruce Bowen trending for a variety of takes and his dancing. Mm-hmm. Tim tweets that robot dance was off the charts.
It was extremely good, yeah.
Jeff Klein tweets, Golic, it's not the players' fault when Phil is forcing them to run an offense that doesn't work with players that don't fit.
It's still the play. I still put most on the players. I disagree with Bruce. I'd put a decent amount on Phil as well. I think it's just a bad mix right now. As one person tweets in, Phil Jackson rings came with him as a head coach, not as a GM. He needs to go. I do agree with that, but I still say you guys are on the floor. They're the ones that have the most effect on a game.
Brucey used the analogy of if a student doesn't learn, it's not the teacher's fault. And I tried to give a response saying it is the teacher's fault, or it's not the student's fault if they're sixth graders and you put them in a college calculus class.
Sure.
Here's a better one. I wish I had said this instead. Roy tweeted, if one or two students fail, that's on the students. If they all fail, it's on the teacher. Jackson is at fault. And I think that's a pretty good way of looking at it.
I get that, but I put the higher percentage still on the players. But I'm not giving a percentage, 60-40, whatever that is. I am definitely blaming Phil for some of his moves. But at the end of the day, I am putting it on the players mostly who are on the court. But as I said, I do think they need to end that relationship with Phil and the Knicks.
All right, other stuff to get to. SportsCenter brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Other wireless providers say they'll cut your bill in half, but who knows what kind of coverage you'll get. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks, and their no-contract unlimited plan is only $45 a month. Is Richard Sherman about to get traded?
I don't think so. It's a situation where if you're a team, you always answer the phone. And there have been calls about him, and a trade. Now, you can never say never because you never know what somebody's going to offer for him. But if you're asking me, I would say no, he is not going to.
Why are they talking about it so much? See, yes, I get it. You're always answering the phone. I'm guessing the phones are ringing in basically every general manager's office every single day with trade scenarios that we never hear about. But they've made a point of making sure we've heard about this. So why is that happening?
Could be a message, a public message to Sherman.
From Pete Carroll?
Sure.
About yelling at the offensive coaches and all that stuff? All that stuff. So when we're at Disney World at the Pro Bowl, and we had, who was it? It was Michael Bennett and Doug Baldwin.
Right.
And they were terrific. I mean, it was a terrific interview. They're both really smart, interesting, insightful guys. And we had them on, and they were yelling at me, claiming that people like me, the media, make too big a deal of it when they see stuff on the sideline and when Richard Sherman is getting into it with offensive coaches and whatever it is. And now here we are a couple of months later. Is the coach sending a public message to Richard Sherman to stop doing that stuff by basically telling the world, we're considering trading?
I don't know if it's specifically to that situation, but you absolutely could be, because you're right. You won't hear about 90% of the phone calls going on, but Richard Sherman is a big name out there. But it absolutely could be a message. I'll say this. I let a lot of things slide on the sideline for the emotion of the moment, but that doesn't mean – I'm not going to lie. I see an offensive player go over to my defensive coordinator and start, complaining about what we're doing on the field. I'm going to have a problem with that. I'm going to have, stay on your side. That's going to be for the moment, and we'll get over that. We'll get over it. But there's some territory there.
Because that's personal now.
Yeah, there's some. Wait a minute. Whoa.
I get it.
You got your side. We got our side. Everybody do their job, come together. You'll let it go a little bit on the sideline of a game like that with emotion, and you understand that. There'll be some emotion back at them. Listen, we've seen these guys, the defensive guys, all yelling at one another. That happens. I'm just saying, yeah, I would, if in my years an offensive guy came over and started, saying something to Jeff Fisher as my D coordinator or Wade Phillips as my D coordinator, saying, hey, why are you doing that? Why? There'd be some sideways looks from the defensive guy saying, whoa, you get back over there. But it would be over then. So it would happen. So I'm not saying there's a specific message sent here about that, but it could be an overall message of, hey, nobody's untouchable, and we take phone calls and we listen.
Alexa, how old is Richard now? Because he's still a really good player. If you watch them play this year, that defense wasn't all year. Say it again. Say it louder.
29.
So, he's getting close to that age where at that position, look what happened to Revis. Great, done. Right? That's what happens. That is always such a fascinating reminder to me of how insanely athletic the sport is, because you go from 60 to 0 in football faster than in any other sport.
Yeah.
Like one day you just look up and this guy's finished, because that 0.2 of a second that might feel like nothing actually is the difference between being an all-pro and being out of the league.
And they still have a window open there. That defense is still really good. You want to keep those pieces together. They got to improve that offensive line. You have a great quarterback in Russell Wilson. They were there. They have had success. And I think Schneider, the GM, has done a nice job of keeping a lot of those pieces together, on that team. I really do. So I think they should try to do that while that window of opportunity is open.
I agree. So my point is, I just find it fascinating that these stories, these rumors, these reports, they don't write themselves. They don't tell themselves. They're coming from somewhere, and rarely accidentally.